life was very different in the early years of the 20th century. Local and international events were largely reported through newspapers sometime after the actual happenings. Through the call to arms, the Australian and New Zealand Armed Forces were to deliver much-needed reinforcements. The high spirits and strong discipline demonstrated during training exercises shows a force of soldiers that would be greatly respected and highly decorated for their resolve and sheer bravery. The brave faces reflect what must have seemed like an adventure back then. Ships laden with troops set off, bound for the Middle East and into the Gallipoli campaign.
The 4th of April 1915. Did not go on parade, but was formed up and told we had to move off in the morning for Cairo in full marching order. Everybody in the unit was pleased to learn that we were getting near where there would be some fighting. Most of the boys sent parcels etc. home to Australia. At Mina Camp, there were a few stores which had just got a new stock of silks. And the people of Australia got the advantage of this because the boys bought freely with the idea of sending them home. I sent parcels home to the value of 600 farthing, also posted 17 letters to Australia and England. The 5th of April. In the early hours of the morning, we started for Cairo from Mina. We had not gone 2 miles when 2 of our boys fell out. They were game fellows, as the medical officer had told them they would have to stay behind because they were not fit to walk a distance of 12 miles. But, nevertheless, they decided to try, as they were men who came to fight. As we advanced towards Cairo, more men fell out, who thought they could do the 12 miles easily. Some of them stuck like glue to it. One man, after going about 7 miles, found he could not carry his boots on his feet any longer, so he took them off and came on my right. He was just as fresh when he had drink as ever he was. That was what he said to me. But it must be remembered that the sun was very hot. After we had done 11 miles, everybody was looking tired because each boy had something extra to carry. If they had only the weight up which one is supposed to carry, most of us could march 25 miles a day with ease. The cry came from my left, just as we could see a straight street in front of us. Boys, look at our major. He is carrying his pack and sticking to it. He is an old man, but game. He will be a man to follow in a charge. The major's name was R.N. Walsh of the 9th Battalion, and, as good a man, was Lieutenant Lawrence. He did his part well. We arrived at Cairo railway station. After waiting half an hour, the train came along with the carriages. We soon got aboard the train for a rest and started for a long ride. We were in a train which did not stop at many stations. We arrived at Alexandria at 3 p.m. Embarked on the HMT Osmania AO. At first, one thought there was no outlet to the harbour, for there were ships everywhere. I counted 10 warships of the Allies. There were 70 ships that could be used for troops. We heard a rumour that most of these ships were awaiting orders to sail. A lot of them had troops on. It was the first time I had seen French troops in a larger number than 20. The 6th of April. At 5 a.m. the little fruit boats were about. I asked the price of oranges and was told half a farthing each. We were not allowed off the ship, so we had to get a piece of rope that the fruit sellers had. In the middle of it they made a basket fast. We would pull this up, put our money in, and lower it to the men in the fruit boats. Then they put the required fruit in, and we pulled the basket back. Our boys had a splendid day with the fruit they got, and they thought of going to the place where they could shoot some Germans. We sailed at 2 p.m. After we were on the water for an hour or so, we had to be passed by the doctor again. As we got out into the open sea, it became rough, so rough that there were only a few standing. Most of us took to the bunks. I got a terrible doing, and so did many other boys who had eaten too many oranges. One always finds out when it is too late. The 7th of April. I laid in bed and did not get up to take a meal or do anything. Work was out of the question. The food was very hard, biscuits and bully beef. At 4:30 p.m. the sea was still very rough, but I felt a little better and came up on deck. A lot more of the boys ventured to see what was going on, but had to go back. I stayed up for about an hour, then went back to bed. A bed, if it could be called one, but when you are going to fight, you have to be prepared for anything. I have led a rough life in the way of hard living, but nothing to touch this little piece. But it is pleasing to think that one is made of the stuff to stand some knocking about. The 8th of April. On waking, we could see land on the starboard side. It was a piece of high land with about a dozen small hills on it. The sea was much smoother now. We were paid £1, which was 14/8 overpay to those who were only drawing 1 shilling per day. It was nearly all paid in gold. During the day we saw several ships, passed some more land, and in the afternoon we dropped anchor in a bay at an island called Lemnos. It was full of warships, troopships and hospital ships. In these we could see some of Great Britain's best. The 9th of April. This day was an eye-opener for some of we Australian boys. We saw soldiers in thousands on the troopships. Great warships, such as the Queen Elizabeth, were moving in and out like great swans. The torpedo destroyers were like swallows moving through the troopships, and every minute we expected to see one of the troopships struck by mistake by a destroyer. Then there is the aeroplanes, floating like a huge hawk in the air. It is surprising how they can keep so steady. During the night more troopships came in. The hospital ships looked so beautiful that one cannot think of anything that takes the eye more quickly. The 10th of April. Oranges were sold for £1 per dozen. Walnuts sold for about 6p per pound. We were pleased to see, at Lemnos they gave English money in change and would take for payment English, French and Egyptian money. There was more gold circulated here in half an hour than I had seen since I left Australia. We got a change of food, stew for dinner, the first time since we left Mina. Water is cut off for 2 hours every day owing to shortage on the island. The mail came, but I got no letters. The mail left for Australia and England. I posted 7 letters to Australia and 2 to England. The 11th of April. At 5 a.m. I was walking round on guard and found a Daily Mirror newspaper, dated the 2nd of March 1915. It was a treasure to get a paper with some war news in it, as the papers we got up to date had very little news of any kind. It was the first paper I had seen since I left Heliopolis. After coming off guard, I took the paper to pieces and shared it with my 2 mates, F.W. Quinlan and F.C.D. Vanza. They were as pleased as I was to have some war and other news. Some of our boys got ashore. They brought back some bread, and when they came back, they shared with some of their pals and their pals' friends. To tell the truth, we are all pals. What one has, the other is entitled to a share of. We were served with cheese, the first time for 3 weeks. The 12th of April. The 2nd reinforcements acted as landing party of the 9th Battalion, starting from the ships in the bay. In 2.5 hours they had 3/4 of them ashore. The Lieutenant Colonel said it was grand for the first try with the choppy little sea. On mail day again, everybody had letters from home because it might only be a few days before some of us were under the soil. I posted 3 letters home and 1 to England, also 1 to France. F.C.D. Vanza posted 1 home to his sister, Mabel, 1 to Kanoa Hay, Warwick, 1 to a friend in Egypt, and 1 to a cousin in Italy. The 13th of April. In the early part of the morning, we did some cleaning up. The ship was a dirty thing. This day was the only time I have seen what is called by the troops body ticklers. By Jove, they are like whales. As we go along, we learn more and catch more. At 12 o'clock, we saw the CMB, the ship we left Australia in. She was full of Australian troops again. We asked them where they came from, and they said that there were all sorts on board, but most of them came from New South Wales. The 14th of April. The morning was very quiet. We went ashore for beef. Came back past a troopship which had a lot of Queenslanders on board. We did not know any of them. We put in the evening by keeping up our practice on signalling. The 15th of April. We went ashore to get more meat and got something like 1,500 pounds. This time, my pals and myself were prepared. We had our money with us and we bought a lot of things for our pals who could not get ashore. We heard all sorts of rumors about Turkey. We are almost sure we are going to have a fight with Mr. Turk. They have the old-fashioned flour mills here. They are driven by a windmill of great size. There are about 28 in sight from the ship I am on. The 16th of April. Managed to get the job mess order. I heard that the Allies would not accept the terms which Turkey wanted to surrender under. This is one of the daily rumors. Today was mail day again. I wrote to S. Longman, uncle, cousin, father, and C. Lind. We saw one of the largest troopships afloat. I think there were 5,000 troops on board her. She had 4 funnels. Ships are moving in and out every day and night. The 17th of April. Flying machines, 4 in number, were seen. They were so fast in moving that one would think there were about a dozen of them. The balloon ship went out of the harbour and the balloon went up to a fair height. We did some practice in boat rowing for 2.5 hours. By this time, our hands have got so hard that such a spell in the boat is thought nothing of. The 18th of April. Our boat does not shift and we have been in the same place some time now. Some of the ships went away at full speed. We got an order to get into a boat. As soon as we did, we set off for a boat in the distance, which was on the bottom. She had grounded during the night. Stayed there while the officer went on board. Then we went to another ship about 3 miles away and got 10 bags of mail for the vessel, 2 for the Queenslanders and 8 for the New South Wales boys. Everybody was waiting for a letter, but very few of us got any. The 19th of April. Things are very quiet, as everybody can see that there is something in the wind. Counting blankets, etc. I saw a couple of troopships come in with troops on them. As I said, things here are very quiet, but I can see there is something causing the quietness. All the officers seem to have a strange look on their faces, a look that tells a man has a big strain on him. Perhaps a German ship has got loose and they are afraid of her coming into our harbour. The 20th of April. Took some of our officers to some of the other troopships in a rowing boat. On the way I saw some of my pals on another ship. They had been drafted onto this ship a few days before. We had hard biscuits for 3 meals. There is something close at hand. We have cleaned up so that we can leave this ship at any moment. The 21st of April. We took off our numerals. This looks like fight somewhere, but we are still in the dark. But there are a lot of rumors going round. A lot of the boys could not eat anything. They were carrying a strain that was too heavy for them. If they would only tell us where we are going, or if they said we were going to be shot in the morning, everybody would have been prepared for it. At 3:30 p.m. I got hold of something that is worth keeping in mind. Read a message sent from a ship in code. How will the boys face Mr. Turk, do you think? I was happy to think that I had found out what had made the officers look so strange. The 22nd of April. One of the torpedo boats came alongside our ship and took 250 troops on her, away. They went to some place, or to some other ship in the harbour. The 23rd of April. Started pumping water into our ship with hand power pumps. 4 hours on and 8 off was the arrangement at first, but nobody knows how they were carried out. We finished at 11 p.m. and another lot of boys went on pumping. We slept well that night because we could see the time coming when we would have very little sleep. The 24th of April 1915. We went on pumping more water into our ship. At 3 p.m. everything was ready to sail, so we did. We were off to try our luck in another game which we have not played. Perhaps we shall soon know what it is like. Our guns look bad enough, and the German or Turks must be about the same. As we got out of the bay, there were 4 transports escorted by 6 torpedo destroyers and 3 cruisers, also the wonderful Queen Elizabeth. 4 other boats left before us. We do not know what kind of troops are on these. We anchored at 9:45 p.m. I was on guard at the cookhouse. Torpedo boats took off troops. 3 of us jumped aboard one of these boats and went with the crowd. I do not know if we are doing right. We have left our post. But that is nothing to me. A man can only get shot once. But I will give Mr. Turk a shock if I only get one shot at him. We went away from our ship like a duck gliding away from the banks of a lagoon. Everybody was so much stirred up that a dozen was trying to talk at once in a low tone. I cannot tell what time it is, but we are moving towards some land or something very dark. We all have been given our orders, what to do, and so forth. The boats are going in all directions now. We are being put off the torpedo destroyers into barges and small boats. The moon is just going out of sight. Everyone is wondering how long he is going to be alive, because we all know that we are in for something. We are off the shore, the outline of which we can just see. I cannot tell how we are going to get out of the boats with our packs on our backs. If mine becomes too heavy, I shall throw it away. One of the boys has just told me that it is 3:50 a.m. and we are not far from the land of the unspeakable Turk. I am told that if he is unspeakable, some of us will try to make him speak. All our boys say they will die sooner than let the Turk say that we could not fight as good as he can on his own mount. I will write a few lines tomorrow of how we fared in today's work.
Few dates on the calendar have a more significant meaning in the shaping of our history.